guys, welcome to Marketing Success in Under 10 Minutes. My name is Steven Rosenberg, this is Gene Ginsberg, and we're very excited to bring you part 2 of our goal setting and keys to success episode. Last time we talked about the different keys to success. I went through sort of my 4 or 5 main keys, and Gene went through a really well planned out 7 keys to her success, which were really amazing. And that last one that she mentioned, we thought was really good and valid enough to make a second episode about it. Gene, do you want to pick it up and give people sort of a little refresher on your last one?
Yeah, I can talk about the background. So one of the things that a lot of business coaches and just in general masterminds talk about is creating a big, hairy, audacious goal or a BHAG as everybody calls it in the industry. And basically that means like having a very, very, very large goal that you work towards that could be 10 to 25 years from now. I mean, it's not anything short term. It's not like 3 months from now. It's actually a very long-term goal. And so the reason why a lot of business coaches and masterminds and just in general, businesses have these goals is because they have a goal to work towards. So it's very important to have that because a lot of times people and entrepreneurs think for the very short term, and that's really what kind of gets them into hot water when it comes to running their business. Like they think about, okay, well, what's going to happen in the next month? What's going to happen in 3 months? And of course, it's very important to plan for a month or 3 months, but having a short-term goal can be problematic because you're thinking really small. But if you think really big, then you're in it for the long haul, and you're committed to your business. So that's why it's important to have a big, hairy, audacious goal that everybody talks about in business coaching. So, Steven, do you have one of those?
I do have one, and mine's really crazy, but my big, hairy, audacious goal is to own the world's first jet made out of 100% recycled materials.
That's awesome.
So I own a green business called Green Purpose, and so I thought that was a very big landmarkish goal for me, is to really build something until I can actually get to the point of flying around the world in my own personal jet made out of 100% recycled materials.
That's amazing. How far do you think into your, like?
Oh, I'm real close.
Okay.
Probably we'll be taking off tomorrow if you want us to pick you up. No, it's just one of those milestone things. It's again, I think what you're ultimately getting at is you need to set, I don't want to say an unrealistic goal by setting that standard, but having something that you're going to be working on for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life to achieve. So that way you're never really able to achieve it. But getting to that point, you have to put your ego completely to the side. So it's not really about achieving that, or for Gary Vee's standpoint, it's not about buying the jets. He says it's about trying to buy the jets.
I think he's going to buy the jets eventually. Maybe not right now, maybe like in 10 years.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too, but he's very clear that he's like, it's not like I'm going to consider myself a failure if I don't buy the jets. I mean, there's so many variables that could affect that, and that are out of his control.
And just to really quickly, just for our audiences who don't know, so we're talking about Gary Vee, Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's a big speaker and advocate of the entrepreneurial world, and one of his I think big, hairy, audacious goal is to buy the jets. Just so in case anybody was not familiar with Gary Vee, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So, who's also an immigrant from Russia.
Yes.
Or
Belarus.
the former Soviet Union. Yeah.
And he talks a lot about that as well in his speeches. I mean, he really goes into he was an immigrant. I mean, generation zero, not even first generation. And he talks about again his parents didn't have a lot of money when they came here. Of course, that's a pretty typical immigrant story. And it really, I think, the way he describes it really shaped his his entrepreneurial spirit. So. But yeah, going back to goal setting, I think, and as we talked about it in this episode, it's very important to have a big goal like that. and go crazy. I mean, if it doesn't, again, I mean, it has to be a little bit realistic, but at the same time, it has to be a pretty big stretch. But again, it's more for you to work towards versus actually achieving that goal in the short term. And then, of course, you want to have goals that are in the short term as well. I mean, it's also important. So one of the things that I learned so I joined a mastermind recently called Entrepreneurs Organization, and so we meet once a quarter where the entire chapter in the Los Angeles area where we talk about like an entire day of presentations. And so one of the things that we talked about last time, which was just a few weeks ago, was that you have to set goals for the quarter, for the week, for the month. I mean, it's also important to set little goals all the time, because then you're keeping yourself accountable and you're keeping yourself in check to make sure, and your whole team in check to make sure that you're actually meeting these goals. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a revenue goal, although I think revenue goal is probably one of the goals that you should set. So let's say for this quarter we want to make $25,000 in Q2 or whatnot, but also to have like operational goals or hiring goals. So for example, we want to implement this platform, or we want to change this platform and move to another one, or we want to hire 5 more people this quarter because we need help with XYZ. So it's also very important to set short-term goals, as we all know, and really keep a list of them and keep them in check, so that way when you visit them in a quarter and you have, let's say, a quarterly meeting with your team, you can go back and refer to them and say, okay, well, here are the goals that we set for the quarter. How did we do, and continuously do that on a regular basis. And,
right.
So in my mastermind, they talked about doing, like, if you have a team, doing a monthly meeting. So we talk about like kind of just strategic goals for the month, a quarterly meeting and a yearly meeting. So the quarterly would be more like overarching strategy, and then for the year, we're talking about like goal planning for the following year. So have a plan and have a strategy for each of those monthly, quarterly, and yearly meetings.
And I want to just reinforce what you said. So I agree with you 100%, but also make sure that you are flexible enough and nimble enough so that if circumstances change, that you can change with those circumstances. Like, make sure you have those plans in place, but don't be so married to them that you're going to execute those even if some major thing changes the outlook of that. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. I totally understand. Yeah, because things change all the time, and
right.
I don't know, clients leave, or your goals change, or you pick up a brand new client,
and
you
just need to go from
right.
So make sure you're ready to, instead of getting those 5 new employees, get 3 new employees if you lose a client, or get 7 if you get a new one,
Exactly, yeah. Or maybe like you own a product and your product got featured in entrepreneurs.com or something like that, and it totally gave you a giant boost in your revenue for the quarter. So you totally exceeded your revenue for the quarter. And so, of course, be flexible. And then, of course, you can be going the other way too. Maybe you didn't meet your goals for the quarter, but be flexible and have a stretch goal, like have a goal and a stretch goal is what a lot of times business coaches say. So that way you can have something to work towards and have a realistic stretch goal. So those are my thoughts on goal setting and just my experience, and of course having a big, hairy, audacious goal that everyone talks about.
Yeah.
So all right. We want to hear your stories.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Please.
We really do. A lot.
And we want to hear your goals.
So make sure you put... We'll see you guys next time around.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope you'll continue to get involved and join us as we help you find success in your entrepreneurial journey. Please follow, like, and share with others who will find this beneficial. We'll see you on the next episode of Marketing Success in Under 10 Minutes with Stephen and Jean.